Sunday afternoon, not morning. Appreciate you being with us at 5 o'clock today. Hope you enjoyed the Indy 500 this morning. We certainly don't enjoy moving, but we enjoy you being with us. We have a fun show. From time to time over the past few years doing this show, we'll throw out, well, what would have happened if this had been the case? We've never done a whole show with that, though. So today, for you folks that like alternative histories, that's what we're doing. The whole show is about what ifs, turning points in UT football and basketball history over the last 20, 25 years. I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be fun. First segment of our show, brought to you as always by the good folks at NovaCopy. This is a company that can help you grow your business owners. They will provide you with a free cost of analysis of your business, your document solutions, and your workflow. Give them a call. Have them come by. They will show you a plan to streamline your workflow, and what that's going to do, that's going to increase your profits. NovaCopy. They do a great job. Call Benny Malakote and his team this week. Okay, glad to have this crew with us today. We got Jimmy Himes, the host of Sports Talk on the Sports Animal Monday through Friday. We have Bob Hodge, freelance contributor to the Knoxville News Sentinel. We have the Knoxville News Sentinel's very own columnist Mike Strange right here. And we have Chuck Cavaleris, Golf News for Tennessee, and about a million other things. Thanks everyone. Over the years, as I say, we have on occasion said, well, what would have happened if this had occurred? What if this guy doesn't leave? What if this guy doesn't get caught cheating? All those types of things. Well, we're going to jam that together into a series of segments today. And the first one is a biggie that we've talked about on several occasions. And this is a major what if in the football program. We're going to bookend it. The last segment of today's show is going to be another major what if in UT football history. But here we go. What if Tennessee had beaten LSU in the 2001 SEC championship game? The Vols would have obviously secured a date with number one Miami, a dominant Miami team in the Rose Bowl. But where would things have gone for Philip Fulmer? Where would things have gone with the program if Tennessee had won that night in Atlanta?
I think that you have Philip Fulmer hanging around longer because I think that night was where everything started to go south. It just seemed like that was sort of you were right at the mountaintop, you'd been at the mountaintop, and you started on your way down at that point. So I think it changes everything. I think it buys Fulmer more goodwill. I'm not so sure that team couldn't have beat Miami. I mean, if we're looking at revisionist history, okay, say they beat Miami and he's got 2 national championships under his belt now. So I think it changes everything over the next 13 years.
I think it was the single biggest loss in the Philip Fulmer era because I think not only does it build up the equity, you would have played for a national championship for the second time in 4 years. You'd have played in the Rose Bowl. And so many people had already booked their flights and their rooms and all that to go to Pasadena to see Tennessee in that Rose Bowl. And I think the complexion of his career would have looked differently had he done that. And to Bob's point about building up the equity, I think he probably could have survived 2008 if he had 2001 in his pocket to have won another SEC championship. Because one of the things you talked about was how many years has it been since they won an SEC championship? Well, you got it back in '98. They won it in '01. Then you wouldn't have had to go back as far. So I think it would have just built up a lot more equity.
And you wouldn't hear, well, when's the last time they played in the BCS game? '99. It would have been one. I don't think they would have beaten Miami. I really don't. But still, I agree with what they say. That's probably the biggest loss in the Fulmer era. And when Jimmy was talking about all those people that wanted to go to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Just wanted to go cover
the Rose Bowl. Yep.
And if you're going to revise something, you could just revise the second half of that game. Right. I mean, and that's what I think was so frustrating about it.
A couple of
plays, and it's like, hey, can somebody please account for the quarterback here?
Well, they tried the Prowler, Bob's favorite.
Yeah,
the Prowler.
I mean, that's where the house of cards started to crumble. I mean, it was, and then that just was like the domino effect after that. And it's like, to me, I don't know if everybody realized it that much then, but looking back, boy, you sure do.
Yeah, because you were so close. I mean, it was '98 that you'd been to the mountaintop. '99, you were, until you lost at Arkansas, you were right back in the mix there, kind of late in the season. Mm-hmm. So at that point, you're kind of taking it for granted that this thing's going to just keep on rolling. Mm-hmm. And that was the brakes got tapped. We showed last week, and we've shown it before, that talent curve with the NFL draft over 4-year periods, and that decline started right there about 2001, 2002, and it just went on out, still petering out today. Bob, you were going to say it, or did I blow your train?
No,
of thought?
yeah, I still got my train of thought. Chuck mixed a metaphor. I just wanted to point that out. But the other thing
Not all
was,
he mixes.
and I don't think that's just the biggest loss of the former. I think you could argue that's the biggest loss in Tennessee history. With everything that's on the table right there, that could be the biggest loss in Tennessee history. Now, you go back and you look at seasons where you lost to Alabama in October, it turned out it was your only loss, and that cost you something. But you didn't know how the rest of the season was going to play out. You knew you were going to play for a national championship if you won that game. So I think you can argue that's the biggest single loss in Tennessee
in modern Tennessee history, because you could go back to some of those, in the 50s or something.
They lost to Mississippi State.
Yeah,
or
you
in
had
the
a
50
really,
team.
a national championship type team, and then you lost a bowl game, or you had this. But in the modern era, I don't think there's really any question in
I
this.
think 1950. I think Mississippi State was who beat them 7-0 in 1950. And that was the one that kept that team from winning it. But that's you got to go back that far to find one that would be that important. Let me throw out something else that I was thinking about this. Obviously, it changed the legacy of Phillip Fulmer from that point. If he wins it, he's got another title, as you say. Casey Clausen would probably be viewed a little bit different. This is one of the most underappreciated in my view, and certainly in Mike Griffith's view, wherever he is, somewhere in front of his altar to Casey Clausen.
His birthday was last week.
Yeah.
I'm guessing probably Mike's watching online at sportsource.tv. And I'll get a call about Casey Clausen. But I think Casey Clausen, underappreciated, if he gets an SEC title and leads that team to a national championship game, I think he's viewed a little bit differently. Do you think that's
The Iceman.
Possible.
The Iceman.
Oh, I
Absolutely.
think that's
Yeah.
very fair.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't that popular, but I think winning an SEC title would have.
And if he's more
helped that.
popular, do you get his brother Jimmy? I know you got one Clausen,
That's interesting.
but
You get
Jimmy
the
was a
other.
pretty good football player up at Notre Dame. So if he leaves here with better taste in the Clausen family's mouth, do you get him?
It makes you wonder about the recruiting as well. We said it kind of dropped off from that point. And not necessarily in the recruiting rankings, but in the number of guys that really came here and panned out. But if you win that one, you also have to wonder, do more people come and take staff members away? Do you see because Phillip Fulmer was very, very tied into his staff, obviously. That was one of the hallmarks, just like the hallmark of the Majors years was constant turnover. The hallmark of the Fulmer years, it was a family over there, same guys. You wonder if they go out and win an SEC title and then somehow pull an upset against that Miami team, who was great. Does somebody come for a Randy Sanders in 2001? Are there other good? Does somebody, I don't know that John Chavis was ever going to leave to be a head coach, but does somebody make a run at some of those other guys?
Here's another one. Derek Dooley was an assistant on that LSU staff, right?
He was.
If LSU had lost that game, Nick Saban might have fired him, might have held him accountable.
He might not have ever been
Might not have ever come back.
somewhere out there.
That's an angle I hadn't thought
A
of.
lot of people like that angle, I'm betting. All right. When we come back, another big what-if scenario. What if Bruce Pearl didn't like the cookout? Or what if he just told the truth about the cookout? What would have happened with his tenure the rest of the way? We'll talk about that. Come on back on the Sports Source.